The Man Cave wants to share with you one of its favourite games, Dropzone Commander by Hawk Wargames. Dropzone Commander is a 10mm sci-fi tabletop wargame. It's based around the concept of rapid deployment and redeployment of your forces by airborne dropships. Now, Dropzone Commander has been out for a while now, and with the imminent release of Dropfleet Commander by Hawk Wargames, we thought it's well overdue to have a look. And plus, seeing how we got a new phone, a new camera, about time. Now, this is the rulebook, the 1.1 version of the rulebook. I have to say, this is one of my favourite rulebooks. Not only for the game itself, but also the fluff and the models. The models in the game are extremely detailed for 10mm, and they're all true scale. So basically that means if you have a vehicle, it will fit within its dropship. But enough about that. Let's have a look at the rulebook. First of all, you'll notice in the rulebook it's full colour, and in the core rulebook it features painted models from the game in dioramas. Now, the book is divided into your typical sections. The first section is the background, which gives the fluff of the game. It basically details how man has reached this golden age and it's gone out into the universe, how we've received a warning of a great enemy coming, how there's a schism amongst humanity, and the coming of the invaders, the evil aliens known as the Scourge in the game. The Scourge are your typical bad guy, and how they came and how they basically decimate the human civilization and force humanity out to its furthest most colonies, which were frontier worlds. As you'll see, these are all painted models from the game. These aren't like drawings. They're models from the game set in a diorama. Here we have a Scourge, tanks going through a ruined city. These are the PHR, one of the factions in the game, another faction of the game. Now we have the rules. The rules are actually quite simple. As I said, it's basically an alternating activation system. So basically, in the game, you have battle groups, and how it works is I'd activate a battle group, and then my opponent would activate a battle group, and then I'd activate a battle group, and then they'd activate a battle group, and it'd go on to both of us have activated all of our battle groups, and that'd be an end of a turn. The rules are simple enough. They detail infantry, aircraft, vehicles, the stat lines, how to read the stat lines, how to build a battle group. So for instance, here we have an infantry squad. An infantry squad could take a transport. The transport would go in a dropship. This dropship can also house a different infantry unit in its own transport in the same dropship. Here we have basically how you build your army. As I said, the game is based around battle groups. So you'd have a HQ group, an armor group, an infantry group, a special group, a fleet group. Personally, at first, I found it a bit confusing on how to build a battle group, because I came from 40k and War Machine, but it is actually extremely simple to build a battle group. Where the problem arises is, what do you want in your battle group? Here we have some fluff. Here we have an example of a battle group. So again, here we have a HQ choice. In its transport with other groups in the section. We have an armoured battle group sharing a transport with another armoured group. Again, same. Infantry in their transport sharing a dropship with another infantry squad. As you move along through the book, it describes how to stay in formation, your deployment, the turn sequence, your shooting sequence. Here we have some PHR line and weight for the UCM. You have your damage track, well, your damage chart. You have scenery, how to use scenery. Here we have a scene of another faction in the game, the Shaltari. We have some colonials. They're the UCM's infantry. We have how to basically do melee combat in the game. The game is basically you have to claim objectives which are hidden within inside buildings on your playing field. You use your infantry and infantry alone to do that. So you'd have to get your infantry into a building, but while you're doing that, your opponent could be getting their infantry into the building, the same building as well, and a close quarter combat could break out between them. We have more rules. Embarking, disembarking. We have the scenarios for the game. How to pick up objectives, army rosters, what way to lay out your board. More scenarios. And we get into the meat and potato of the rulebook. We have the different factions. First of all, we have the UCM, the United Colonies of Mankind. Now again, these are models from the game, just painted up. Now, we have a bit of fluff of the UCM, information about their organizations and weapons, and these are the core units that were originally released with the main rulebook. You have dropships, aircraft, your tanks, infantry, how to build a battle group for the UCM, what it can take, what it can't take, its commanders. Each commander has a certain command value or CV, which is like a bubble around that commander, and as you're playing you can use special cards to use an effect or something similar, and it gives the radius and what size battles is allowed and the point costs of that commander. And here we have different paint schemes for the UCM. And as the book continues, we enter the Scourge, the evil aliens, my faction. Again, similar to the UCM, a little bit of fluff about them, a bit about their technology, their units, the core units that are released with the game. How to build an army based on the battle groups. We have like sample armies based on the level of points you're playing. So your skirmish would be your typical battle box, your starter army that you'd get, and then typically about 700-ish points. Then you'd have your clash size, which is about 1500 points. And then you'd have your battle size, which is roughly about 2000 points or so. And again, colour schemes. Then we have the UCM, the Post-Human Republic. Oh, sorry, this is PHR, not UCM. A bit about their fluff, where they come from, what kind of technology they have, their weapons that they use, their vehicles, units available to them, the stats, how to build a battle group, what's included, sample army sizes, colour schemes. Then we have the Sheltari. The Sheltari are basically porcupines, kind of looking. They're tiny, but they're very advanced technology. They're separated into tribes. Think kind of a Native American, Incan kind of. They like walkers, and they're very tricksy with their. They have a teleportation mechanic where they can teleport units around the place. Instead of flying them, they teleport them. And with the units, walker, infantry, there they are walking down the street, going shopping. How to build battle groups, sample armies, studio paint schemes. As I said, they're kind of tribal, so most of them are named either Incan or Indian. So like the Apache, Cherokee, Amazons, Aztecs, Mongols. We have guest painters in the book. And then we have your tokens and templates. And I don't know if this will show up, but if you'll notice the sides of the book are color coded for easy reference. So if you want the rules or background or armies. So you're saying, why should I play this game? I would say play it. Find someone in your local area that has the game, has 2 armies, is willing to give you a demo. Play it. For me, it is a much more visual game than the likes of 40k or War Machine. It's very cinematic, and although in games it could look like you're losing, it always comes not always, but usually comes down to that last turn that you could snatch victory away. It's very cinematic. You fly in your dropships, you drop your troops, your armored tanks, you pull your dropship back, your tanks move in, they blast away, hopefully to kill everything and don't die in return fire. You move along. Your right flank is crumbling, getting wiped out. Dropship flies in, picks up your tanks, whisks it over to your right flank, drops them off. Tanks get out. You owe it to yourself to give this game a try. This is the core rulebook. There's so far been two expansions. Reconquest Phase 1 and Reconquest Phase 2, which only released. Give it a try. Until next time, I'll see you from the table.